All right, so this is Turtle Lung Woman's Granddaughters, chapter 17 through 22. We're getting towards the end of the book here. Um, so basically, these chapters kind of cover a lot. They cover farming and work all the way through ceremony, dance, and even some mythos and mythology about uh, spirituality. So it starts off talking about new reservation crops introduced things that they would never grow or never think of consuming before they were put on the reservation. Things like squash and pumpkin and turnip, watermelon, carrots, more cultivation, like crops like oats and wheat, things that you had to kind of stay in one place to ferment. This was very interesting to see because we kind of pay the indigenous societies with more like corn crops and things like that. So the fact that they enjoyed these foods, but also they didn't like the fact that they had to stay and grow them, or they would never even think to do it, is just interesting to see the contrast there. Basically, Turtle Woman granddaughters family roamed a lot. They went into Nebraska looking for work during the summer months. They would hop from farm to farm. During most yields, the men worked, but during some like potato yields where you have to work harder, have just more hands around, everybody had to pitch in. So it was gendered, but it wasn't at the same time during certain situations. What I thought was interesting is these characters or these people in the book celebrated Christmas and New Year's, and that's just interesting to think because we don't always associate that with traditional indigenous practices and cultures, but it's interesting to see, and I think it's also worth noting that these books that we've been reading kind of make you think these are like happening like hundreds of years ago, but this was just maybe 100 in the early 90s or in the early 900s. So that's just weird to see the modernization and how indigenous society incorporates into it. um our author acknowledges that she's thankful that her parents did not send her to boarding school. She was afraid that they would change the language and that the value she still has would have changed, which is more than likely true. Dances were done for particular reasons, like ceremonies. Men and women danced. Her father did the grass dance. No one did anything alone. Her whole family danced. It was a social thing, and it was also done for selective purposes. And lastly, they dive into the thunder being mythos and the unsettling nature of it, and how her father was unsettled and fearful of storm clouds until they had a ceremony and basically purged him of that. So, a lot to deal with in this chapter. It kind of feels a little scattered as opposed to the end of the book, which I've read too, but very good. So.